Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is Thursday. It's December 12th. And because this is dealing with a separate case, we are doing a separate stream this evening. So, because we are moving from Massachusetts to Florida, I figured we needed to just do this in a separate stream. Did I think that the Karen Reed hearing was going to take maybe not the entire day? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Um, did I contemplate just scheduling this for tomorrow? Yes, I did, because it's been a incredibly long day. Here are the reasons why I didn't. One, I told you guys at the beginning of stream today, we're streaming twice today. And two, I really want to read this letter, and avoiding spoilers on it is getting more and more difficult by the moment. So if you have already read the letter, seen people cover the letter, thank you for no breakdowns of other people's coverage. Thank you for no spoilers. It took everything in my ADHD soul to not sit down and read this last night when I saw it. Like it took everything in my soul to not read this letter from Sarah Boone, like the way I wanted to. So thank you for not breaking down how other people have streamed it, covered it, talked about it. Thank you for no spoilers in advance. I really want to break it down. I said when we got to sentencing, two things. I said, one, when she said, this is the redacted letter that I'm covering, all of us said, I want the unredacted one. Well, guess what, everybody? We get the unredacted one. Whether we are excited about that, whether we are horrified by that, I don't know how we're going to feel about it. I read the first page of this and it was, I'm including the unredacted letter. And I went, damn, okay. So we get like the whole thing. We said in the chat, what is the chance that Sarah Boone writes to the judge? We all said, there's no way we're getting out of this thing without her sending a letter to the judge. Y'all knew. I said it, you said it, we all said it. We all knew. It's not like we're particularly gifted. All of us were just like, there's not a chance she's not going to have more to say. She's like, I am having the last word. So I contemplated doing this tomorrow. However, I am going to have to take my kiddo to the doctor tomorrow because my kiddo is sick. So while Dr. B is home this evening, handling that, I will be on mom duty tomorrow. So there was no option for me other than to be like, hey, there's not a fucking chance I was going to wait till next week. Like that could not happen. And with the unknown of what is going on with my kiddo, I was like, okay, we can stream tonight. I said we were doing 2 streams today. We can stream tonight. I can kiddo tomorrow, and it's all going to work. But kiddo is sick, so we definitely needed to stream when there was another parent on board in the house. So yeah, tomorrow we're gonna ride mom duty. Tonight we're gonna ride legal duty, and I am waiting to see what's in the rest of this letter. It's been so hard to not just read it, but then we had an entire day of Karen Reed, and so if y'all are tired, I feel you. Like I'm tired. And I'm not tired because I'm like, I just want to read the letter. So let's get into it, you guys. Thank you for all of the gifted memberships. It's so good to see you. All of you are asking, is kiddo okay? Kiddo has a high fever. It is my teen. I'm pretty mom confident that he has strep throat. So we're going to go to the doctor tomorrow and we're going to figure it out. He will be fine. Does he feel like absolute crap tonight? Sure does. Did we have to cancel all of the travel and take care of things? Yes. It is okay. We are going to take care of kiddo tomorrow. Dr. B is with kiddo this evening. So we're going to be good. What's Alika said, wait, I thought she had a flight tomorrow. I did have a flight tomorrow. I now do not have a flight tomorrow. So look, there are times we just prioritize as we can and we make changes on the fly. So nope, tomorrow is going to be a mom day. And today is a stream day because Dr. B's home. So we're in the balance of trying to make all the things work. I honestly couldn't. There's no way in my soul I could have waited. I had a hard time not streaming last night when I pulled this thing up. I was like, no. We're going to stream tomorrow. It's going to be fine. Go to sleep. we'll read it tomorrow. So I couldn't have waited. There's just not a chance. There's just nope. So we need to get into it. So thank you, chat. I know you guys get it. Look, the years of trying to balance work and kiddo is wild. The ability to say, hey, I can stream tonight and I can take care of kiddo tomorrow. I don't have to call in anywhere. I don't have to go to court anywhere. I don't have to do, I can just balance it. It's an incredible gift and a blessing. And it's been difficult in the past working as a DA and working with my work and working with Dr. B's work. So it was very nice to be able to like pass the baton to Dr. B tonight and be like, all right, Dr. B, fantastic. You've got this, I've got this, we've got this, and let's ride. Also with a teen, once they are settled and resting, it is a little bit easier than when they are little. It's like, you're sleeping, you're good. Tell me if your fever starts to come back. So that makes it a little easier for me as well. But it's a hard balance sometimes. I'm very, very thankful that I have the opportunity to balance it with y'all and say, hey, we'll do this tonight. We'll do the mom stuff tomorrow and we can make it work. I'm really grateful. And I love being here. All right, let's do this. Lyndon said, I once had bronchitis with 102.7 degree fever without knowing it. How do you not know it? What? But also, yeah, I went to school and an entire dance with walking pneumonia. Why? Because I was in high school and my boyfriend was hot and I wasn't going to miss that dance. And my mother was less than thrilled. And she was like, we're doing what? And I'm like, pneumonia, apparently. But the decisions you make when you're a teen aren't always good ones. So again, that's why I share with you guys what it is, because all of you have these balances you make in your life. And there are times when it's harder. There's times when it's not harder. And I'm really glad to go through this with y'all tonight. And then tomorrow, just, press pause on work stuff and do family stuff. So thank you so much. And let's roll the intro. I am so ready to read this. And I feel like after a long day in court talking about really nuanced legal stuff, tonight's just a night to just their fuckery, I think, is what tonight is for. Like that's what's going to happen. That's just what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. We know that's what's going to happen. So we should just get into it.
Hey there, I'm Emily D. Baker, the internet's go-to legal analyst, breaking down the legal side of the pop culture and entertainment stories we can't stop talking about. I'm a big fan of the cursey words. I've been a licensed attorney for over 17 years, but this is not legal advice. This is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not... Let's get into it.
I feel like before we pull this up, I should give a little bit of a background for those of you that didn't watch the Sarah Boone trial. Look, I had a whole different feeling about this trial before we got to the rebuttal case. Sarah Boone was convicted of the second-degree murder of her boyfriend, George Torres, because she zipped him into a suitcase. She said they were playing a fun little game of hide and go seek, and then she took that fun little game off to bed for herself, went to bed, and woke up the next day and was shocked that he was deceased in the suitcase when she found him and unzipped it some hours after she woke up because she thought he was just downstairs on the computer or whatever. But there's also a video of her taunting him while he's in the suitcase and him saying that he can't breathe, him telling her repeatedly that he can't breathe, him asking her to let him out, and her saying things like, for everything you ever did to me. When she was interviewed by police, she said that she was going to make him listen and that this was for everything that he had ever done to her. And then she left him there. She said at one point in her testimony at trial that she wanted him to feel what she felt in the times that he cheated on her, choked her, hurt her. She talks about the injuries she sustained at his hands. And we hear a little bit about the injuries he sustained at her hands. There was definitely violence in this relationship. And when we saw some of the body cam footage of her interactions with police, it did change my mind on this case quite a bit. When she was giddy when the police showed up and getting him arrested, when he was waking up going, I don't know what are you talking about? And that at one point the police are like, look, man, she is going to keep calling the police on you. because now you're violating their restraining order. And he's like, she called me to come over. And they're like, right. And then she calls the police on you. So this is not going to work. You've got to find somewhere else to stay. The police kept trying to say to him, you have to find somewhere else, because this is just going to keep happening. And her trying to get a hug from the police and then telling everyone it's not intentional. And I think when she zipped him into the suitcase, she intended to leave him in the suitcase. What she doesn't understand is her intention of leaving him in the suitcase is what the crime is about. It's not that she intended for him to die when she left him in the suitcase. She knew he could die and she left him there. How do we know she knew that? Well, he told her repeatedly, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Let me out. And then there's also the injuries he had to his body when they did do the autopsy that seemed to maybe be sustained before he was in the suitcase. And the rebuttal videos of him being just berated and degraded and taunted were really, really horrific to watch. Just horrific to watch. And it will definitely change the case. And yes, the chat's like, don't forget about the bat. Yes, she said his hand came out of the suitcase and she was so threatened that she hit him in the hand with a bat. I think he was hit more than that with a bat, given the injuries on him at the autopsy. So does his injuries to her in the past justify her behavior? The jury said no. The jury heard the evidence of the injuries she sustained at George's hands. The jury saw the police call-outs and they heard her testimony. They heard her police interviews. They heard her experts say that on this day, it's her position that she was so threatened by George when he was inside the suitcase that she had to leave him there for her own security. And the jury did not believe that. The jury did not believe that she was acting out of that level of fear and of self-defense on that day. So does that change the things that happened between them in the past? No. Does that mean that she'd never been harmed in this relationship? No. But that does not justify the homicide in this case. She put forward that self-defense defense and the jury said, no, not at all. So the videos in the rebuttal case after she presented that self-defense was, I think, impossible for the defense to overcome. But Sarah sees it differently, and Sarah believes that all of us are idiots, I think, is her position. And we heard that in her statement at sentencing that that everyone is to blame. Like literally, you're all to blame. So we wanted the redacted letter. She said, I'm not reading all of my letter. We covered the interview after sentencing with her lawyer, who said that he told her to take parts out of the letter. And we're going to find out what those are. Yeah, we're going to find out what those are right now. So we're going to just do that together. In cursive, this is 28 pages of this letter. Let me see. No, I was trying to make that bigger. Actually, that I think is better, you guys. Do you think does that work a little bit better? I think that works a little bit better. I'm going to try to make sure that I'm not covering up too much of it. Give me 1 second. Let's see. I wish I could move. No! What? Wrong tab, Emily. Ugh. It zoomed itself. But let's see. It's 28 handwritten pages. So I'm going to read along with you and we're going to go from there. Am I going to cover some of the letter? Yes. Am I always going to scroll up? Yes. Are we going to read it together? Yes. Yes, because it's going to be a whole moment. She addressed this December 6th, but this was stamped into the court on December 11th at 12:50 p.m. So yesterday afternoon is when the court received this and docketed this. Victoria Hawks in the chat asked the great question of who published this. She sent it to the judge. So she sent it to the judge and this went on the public docket as a letter to the court. So who published this? Her. She sent this to the judge. Mhm. She's prolific at writing to the judge. We did not cover a lot of this case pre-trial. I know that Lawyer You Know and others did, but she was prolific in letter writing to the judge before even she was pro per. She would write to the judge and talk about her feelings about her lawyers and the rest of it. I'm going to try to make sure that I'm not too much in the way of the letter, but I also want y'all to be able to see me. So I'm trying to find what, no, that's worse. What my preferred layout is. That's too small. We're going to just modify this one just a little bit. So this letter is tough because it's all handwritten and there's like zero margins. Like the margins just don't exist. The limit does not exist. The margins do not exist in this. So I'm trying to zhuzh it over just a little bit, but it won't. Another day, a different program, maybe it'll work. So Gigi said, to clarify, this is a new letter. Yes. And Salia asked, is it normal to send letters to the judge? It's not the usual. The general procedure is to let your attorneys communicate for you, and direct communication between the defendant and the judge are ex parte, so they all just get public docketed. But yeah. So December 6th is when she wrote this. December 11th is when the judge got it. I forgot the day of sentencing. Will you guys remind me? What day was sentencing? It must have been right in there. Let me go look at the day the sentencing was on YouTube. It was like right then. Is this the day after sentencing? I should have double checked. Thank you, December 2nd. So this was shortly after sentencing. Thank you, everybody. The days don't make sense. This was shortly after sentencing. So December 6th, a few days after she was sentenced to life. A life in Florida is life period, which is still kind of wild to me that it's life period on a second degree. Because essentially that's life without parole on a second degree homicide. And that's not what the sentencing scheme would be elsewhere. But again, she's in Florida. She lives in Florida. And there it is. So let us continue on. Let us go. Sophia said, I was watching an old Crossing Minute live stream, and I think EDB commented then, I was caught off guard, but do you play Animal Crossing? I do, and a friend of mine runs the Crossing Minute channel. So yes, on occasion I will pop into live streams. You never know where I might pop up in a live stream chat around the internet. All right. Mr. Michael Kraynick. So starting out with the disrespect is always a strong move. I doubt the judge gives a shit, but it is a strong indication of how the vibes are, because starting with Mr. instead of judge or your honor or any type of honorific is a very specific choice. And I think from everything we've seen from Sarah Boone, we know that this was an intentional move. This was a no holding back. I mean, nothing's going to change at this point. She's been sentenced. So she's probably not happy with her sentence. And yeah, she's probably not pleased. Mr. Michael Kraynick. We're going to just call the judge Judge K. I am in closing, please, my complete statement to you and the world. Well, she definitely knows the world is watching and is going to have the last word with the world. But if we're reading the word and commenting on it, is that really the last word or not? Chat, you let me know. I'm in closing, please, my complete statement to you and the world, as I partially read during my sentencing hearing. Well, we definitely heard what she had to say during her sentencing hearing. I don't know how well taken it was by everyone, but you can let me know. By my reserving particular parts of my very true, my very true and very meaningful statement, ma'am, we have to decide if someone else decides if it's meaningful. I realize it's meaningful to you because you wrote it, so we know that it's meaningful to you because you wrote it. But my very true and meaningful statement, I was hoping to have been graced with your forgiveness, understanding, and consideration in any level or degree. For me, unfortunately, and regardless of who I had speak on my behalf or the number of, you're ignorant. Oh, she underlined ignorant. You started in the first paragraph calling the judge ignorant. Good. Um, this is great. I feel like Judge K knew exactly that this was going to happen, and his making zero statement at sentencing was because he knew this was going to happen, and anything he said was going to be picked apart and thrown back at him because there are personalities that when you fight with them, everything you say will be twisted, turned, and hurled back at you. So I think the judge deciding to say anything other than sentencing was a specific choice because the judge knew, right? The judge knew this was going to happen. He knew better than me. I was like, Judge, tell us your feelings. And the judge is like, you have been sentenced. Like full gray rock. You have been sentenced. That is it. This is the sentence. Okay, so your ignorant mind was already made up. So just my first impression of this is I held back hoping that you would be persuaded to sentence me to less. And I didn't tell you everything I thought because I wanted your mercy. But since you sentenced me, I'm going to take a moment to tell you what I edited out because I held back. And what I'm not going to do is hold back any longer. So I edited myself so that you would do what I wanted you to do and sentence me to less. And you did not do what I wanted you to do and sentence me to less. You did not understand or consider or grant any mercy. So you know what? Fuck you. Here's what I really think. That's just my take. By your clear error and full-blown unfair bias against me, since your involvement in my crucible case as a whole, I have been unsuccessful in receiving anything from you as a supposed fair trial. That's a lot of word salad. As a supposed fair and a neutral judge, except for, underlined, your wish that I spend the rest of my life in prison. That's just how I heard it in my head. I mean, there's no drama in that at all. Okay. I don't think there's clear error. Also, I feel like when the judge had a option, the option was to Sarah. Like, it was point to the defense. And the judge in a lot of the rulings was like, these could go either way. And I think those rulings went to the defense. The judge had already seen the suitcase video. A lot of judges in trial are like, if it's close, if it's a close call, we'll give it to the defense. Because at the end of the day, if the defendant's convicted, they appeal. Those close calls often break to the defense in a trial. Not all the time, but often. Okay. Except for your wish. She, I can't stop and comment on every paragraph. We're never going to get through 28 pages, but this is a lot. Please know and always remember, Mr. Kraynick, I forgive you. She's going to spit that at him like a threat. Please know and always remember, Your Honor, I forgive you, underlined. Still and sincerely, please understand also, the judge, according to Cicero, why? I mean, sure. The judge, according to Cicero, quote, is never to lose sight that he is simply a man, underlined, and that he, underlined, cannot exceed the power given to him by his commission. That not only power, but public confidence has been given to him, and that he ought always very seriously to attend not to his wishes, but the requisitions of law, of justice, and religion. So we're quoting Cicero. We're quoting Cicero. Trisha Lynn asked, would the judge ever write back, Trisha, good to see you, but no. Nope. There's no response to this. There's no motion. There's nothing pending. There's no question pending. This is just docket it. This is an ex parte communication. Just docket it. Docket. And yes, for all of you that are now singing Cell Block Tango because Cicero is, yes. Yes, I mean, she's referencing a different Cicero, but okay. But yeah, but yes. Lip shits. Squish. Okay, Emily, stop it. It's going to happen to you too. I am excited in my appeal, which speaks for itself. It's the oddest. Look, Yoda. That is the strangest sentence phrasing ever. What? Oh, no. Okay. My case law as well, in which I am extremely proud to have achieved. What case law did you achieve? What? And will continue doing so now that I am no longer in your corrupt court and free from your malevolent judicial grip. Ma'am. I love that the chat's like, she didn't even quote Cicero right. We'll cite check her Cicero site later. We'll cite check Cicero later. We got to malevolent. Sarah Boone versus State of Florida. Ma'am, the title goes at the top. Like on the title goes at the top. Just so we're clear. The case number. I also have added to my statement as a result of your blindness and impartiality. Well, if justice is blind and impartial, isn't that what we want? Isn't impartiality a good thing? Okay. I have also added to my statement as a result of you've made me do this, Your Honor. Oh, you guys said the pages are mixed up. Fair enough. The pages got time stamped improperly or bait stamped. This is B. That's C. Which is page A? No, that's A. This is B. This is C. These pages seem to be in order. I have added to my statement as a result of your blindness and impartiality. Foremost, your disgust in me as being an outspoken woman, determined defendant, and proactive client. Hoping the next time you put on your listening oh, Jesus. Hoping the next time you put on your listening ears and do not unfairly oppress the next as you have done so blatantly to me. She told the judge to put on his listening ears. Ma'am. Put on your listening ears. What? Oh, I see Rob in the chat. Rob, good to see you. Part of my decision in trying to get everything streamed today is I knew I couldn't do it tomorrow during the day, so it was going to be tomorrow night, and I wanted you to be able to stream this tomorrow night because I know you guys do Friday night. I didn't want to step on Friday. I was like, we're going to do this now. Listening ears. Okay, we got to listening ears. I don't think this judge was disgusted about her being an outspoken woman or a determined defendant. Proactive client, I don't think, is how her attorneys would refer to her. But we'll see. You will never admit your many judicial errors. Ma'am, I've watched a lot of court. This judge was really fair. Nor will the prosecutors theirs. And I will never admit to what you have wrongfully accused me of and judged me as. Well, ma'am, you don't have to admit it. You videotaped it. Like you videotaped it. So you also admitted to zipping him in the suitcase. So there's that. Chat, I see you. It's so early. If we go to Code Audacity, what do we have left? But chat motion granted. I mean, we have multiple motions in the chat for code green. And Patrick says, listening ears, is that lawful law? No, that's kindergarten law. So that's kindergarten law. Oh boy. She ends this page with, I am not a murderer, I am a survivor. Two things can be true at once. But also, we're going to have to go to code. It's the listening ears, isn't it? Please put on your listening ears. We've got, yeah, chat, you're right. Chat, you're right. Yeah. Let's do that. Chat, we're going to go to code green. Motion granted. Like, 3, 2, 1. I know. I feel like we flew right past bruh.
Bruh.
I feel like bruh didn't even get a moment. Like there wasn't even time to bruh. Like it just took off so fast. Because it did start with ignorant being underlined. So we started with the disrespect of Mr. Not Judge. Then we got to ignorant. And then we got to listening ears. And I think audacity is where we end up. So we are now in audacity. All right. Sarah says, I am not a murderer. I am a survivor. She's not going to ever see what a second-degree murder is. And that's, I think, where the difficulty is for Sarah is like, but I didn't mean to kill him. I just meant to zip him in a suitcase and leave him there. Those are different. The thing is, that's why there's murder in the first degree and murder in the second degree, because they are different. She does not agree with the difference. So page C, I think that was A, B, C. All right, we're on C. Black robe disease. I think this is the beginning of the letter that was redacted. So it seems that the first 3 pages were, I am enclosing what I really wanted to say in court, and I edited myself. And now you're going to get all of it. Black robe disease. Arrogance in a judge, a slang term for a judge who flaunts judicial power and dominates proceedings at the expense of the dispensation of justice. Okay, ma'am, I have some judges you might like less than Judge K. Impartiality is the first duty of a judge before he gives an opinion or sits in judgment in a cause. She's going to teach him. She's going to teach him how to judge. Ma'am, he didn't ask. But if you want to teach judges how to judge, I have some suggestions. Okay. He ought to be certain and absolute that he has no bias for or against either of the parties. If he has any interest, even the slightest in the cause, he is to disqualify from sitting as a judge. I don't think she understands what the word interest means in this context. And when aware of such interest, ought to lawfully, we're going to get to lawful law, ought to lawfully and justly refuse to sit on a case. Yeah, if the judge knows someone or a party or like if the judge has a bunch of stock in an automobile industry manufacturer, that was word salad. Like if a judge has stock in a Ford case, they probably shouldn't sit on a bunch of like MDLs regarding whether or not the braking system works or some shit. But sometimes they just disclose that and move on because they don't care. But that's the type of interest they mean. He didn't know any of y'all. Okay. The delicacy with the delicacy which characterizes the judge in this country generally forbids their sitting in such a cause. The judge must not only be impartial, but must also follow and properly enforce the law, not abuse. Is she womansplaining to the court? He is bound to declare what law is. Yeah, based on what the legislature has decided. And not make it be not an arbiter, but an interpreter of the law. Oh, okay. It is their duty to be patient. This judge has been so patient. Mm-hmm. It is their duty to be patient in the investigation of the case. Sorry, that was spaced weird. They don't investigate the case. They just rule on things. Understand circumstances and difficulties by all parties. Careful in considering parties of a case in whole and decent in judgment. From whatever that law dictionary she says is the 2012 edition. All right, we're on page D. There's more citations. She's citing the O.J. Simpson trial. That's what's... No. What? Or what? Okay. Quote, but at the risk of practicing judicial centrism, a word I have coined in this presentation, others have called it black robe disease. Whether he was correct or not in my behavior, it is widely accepted that judicial behavior affects the jury. And that's a quote from Murray. I can't read the end. Rochelle, the Simpson trial, 1996. Yes, judicial behavior can affect the jury. The next quotation is from A Practical Guide to Becoming an Emotional Genius from 2007. And then there is the worst of judicial elements? The black robe disease, which is otherwise known as arrogance. Oh, we do know what the word arrogant is. Interesting. This is coming from Carlisle versus United States from 1996. Quote, ailments, thank you, Chad. She had a lot of energy in researching. I will absolutely give her a deep dive to the research and the citations. Trial judges are affirmatively charged with securing a fair trial and must intervene sua sponte. Ma'am, did you define sua sponte? I don't see sua sponte. I don't see sua sponte defined. I'm glad her lawyer cut this. And we're like only on page D because they're lettered. All right. Trial judges are affirmatively charged with securing a fair trial and must intervene sua sponte. That means of their own motion, like the judge did in the Adelson case when he yeeted the rest of the defense team. The judge was like, you know what? On second thought, all y'all are out. To that end, when necessary, from Brown v. Walter from 1993, that duty encompasses not only the avoidance of error before it occurs, but the fair correction of error that may have occurred earlier in a proceeding. Right. Okay. It goes on to cite another Supreme Court opinion. The law library seems to be her favorite place. In the instant case, the trial judge did not analyze the evidence. He added to it, dealing with a mere mannerism of the accused in giving his testimony The judge put his own experience with all the weight that could be attached to it on the scale against the accused. Well, I'm going to need that case. But I don't think the judge added to anything here at all. Oh. And now we're to the kintsugi. No, I can't pronounce it the way she pronounced it. The Kintu-sukurai, that's how she said it. She is trying to talk about kitsugi. Either way, whatever. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole of the Japanese ceramic style, which means to repair with gold. Sarah, I hope you're a fan of Jelly Roll. Okay. We heard this in her sentencing. It's a kind of Japanese ceramic style, which means to repair with gold. In this tradition, when a ceramic piece breaks, an artisan will fuse the pieces back together again using liquid gold or gold dust lacquer. So rather than being covered up, the break becomes more obvious and a brilliant new piece of art emerges from the brokenness. Okay. Just as gold is very precious, forgiveness is invaluable. Wait, now we've gone to numbering the pages from lettering the pages. Oh, okay. So that was page D, and this is now page 1. This is page 3. Where's page 2? Here's page 2. So the pages that she added, because she said she added something. I see. I can follow what she did here. The pages that she added were the introduction pages and then A, B, and C. The repairing with gold is the beginning of what she edited in court, which is the original letter. So Lisa in the chat was like, I cannot. She plagiarized the Japanese art part. Oh, I'm sure it's taken from a book she read. I'm sure it's an explanation from a book she read. Lisa said, as someone Japanese, I'm offended. I've never heard it as kintu. Me either. Me either. I don't know where that's coming from. I have always seen it as kitsugi. That's what I've always seen. But I think what she did was she wrote the letter to the judge saying, this is why I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to add some stuff. And then she added some stuff. And now we have gotten to the meat of the letter. Yes, she prologued. She did prologue. Okay, so we needed to go to page 2. We got to just as gold is very precious, forgiveness is invaluable. Yes. This is her wishing everyone forgiveness when it sounds like she's cursing your entire lineage. Yes. Some of you said more like a forward. Sure. Had Komet said a pre-ramble. Oh, yeah, fair enough. Forgiveness is not an attempt to change or forget who, what, or how you've lived through to be so gold, but an act of grace, humility, and considerable self-compassion to be set free from sorrow. Withholding forgiveness denies your brilliance, okay, and adds even greater grief and deeper heartache, irreparable cracks on top of the already that no one deserves, underlined. No matter the pain or disappointment, untruths, or injustice. It doesn't matter as the more broken you are, even though now different than before, underline, you've become more outstanding and more extraordinary. Well, we do know that she has told law enforcement that she is both extraordinary and outstanding at everything that she does, including letters to the court. I added that as commentary. Above all, when you let go of blame, misunderstandings, excuses, give up your anger, and cease from resentment, underlined, this is forgiveness. This is Halloween. Amy said, Emily, does the judge even respond to this? No. Does the judge read this? Probably. Or one of his staff does. Somebody probably does. To make sure there's no threats or anything like that. I don't know if it would be the judge. Thank you, Trisha Lynn. Trisha's like, I got you. I got you. So this is now a lesson on forgiveness and blame. My gold, she says, begins with George Torres. And every time, and then she goes on to air her list of grievances with the victim in this case. I forgive George, she said, for beating me senseless, for trying to, and then page 3, we've heard her say in court, for trying to sleep because I had to go to work for my son's field trip the next day, for ruining my life. We've heard all of the grievances. She read all of this in court. So I'm going to skip page 3 because she read it all in court. I'm not going to air all of her grievances with the victim again. She read page 4 in its entirety. She said, threatening to kill my friends and my neighbors when they checked on me to make sure I was alive and in one piece, for threatening to burn down our home, for holding me hostage on weekends, for stabbing me in the leg, for destroying my phone, for me experiencing ever being arrested and after today prison. So she is forgiving George for causing her to be arrested and for causing her to go to prison, is what it seems that she is saying. This is all in her statement. Let's see. She goes on to say, for causing me so much trauma and pain, mentally, physically, emotionally, I had to be hospitalized more than once. This is page 6. Oh, we're at the Scarlet Letter. Yes. For destroying my reputation and integrity, for my M for murder Scarlet Letter. I'm still surprised. I'm not surprised. She said it in her sentencing. She said it here. I forgive George, she goes on to say, for lying, for him trying so many times to end me with his terrifying love. She says, I forgive the Torres family. Oh, this is when she blamed his family for not intervening. I forgive them for caring too late. She said that in her sentencing. We're on page 7. I hope they all ask themselves, while quiet and comfortable at bed at night, the uneasy question, what could I have done to stop this? So, right, to his family. I believe his family walked out during sentencing. I can understand why. Another great contributor of my gold is social media with its greed. I feel like we're going to just revisit this because it's not blaming George and it's not blaming his family. But I feel like we need to revisit the blame on social media because my brain was reeling in sentencing from the above. So I don't know if I processed this social media mafia part adequately at sentencing. Yes, for all of you that are saying her I forgive yous come across with the bless your heart that does not in fact mean that. Monuments of Speculation said she was sentenced to life. Yes, she was sentenced to life. Another great contributor of my gold is social media with its greed, insensitivity, deception, obvious exploitation, and advantageous gain from my criminal case as a whole, and for sentencing me by anticipation as a result of ignorance and hate conjured and fabricated by the organized crime that is social media, which condemned, I can't read this as all one sentence. There needs to be a fucking period underline, which condemned me in the court of global public opinion since the beginning. I mean, I don't know about that. We started covering it at the trial, and at the trial we were like, well, there's a video, but she's saying it was self-defense. Let's see what happens. And then we got to the rebuttal case and went, oh, that. So really, the videos that she took are the things which condemned me in the court of global public opinion. I mean, there's people who've been condemned in the court of global public opinion and won in the court of law. I can't imagine that it's easy for them when they lose in the court of public opinion and win in the court of law, but it absolutely happens. My family law case is the new prey waiting to be picked apart and pillaged from me being made infamous by social media in my criminal case. I mean, you did file an advertisement for a lawyer in this case because you knew it was covered by social media, which wouldn't have gained any attention if this case wasn't covered by social media. I think sometimes social media goes too far, but it seems like social media has earned her quite a few pen pals and probably a lot of money on her books. So, she goes on to say social media has made me a pariah. It has caused great depression. Oppression, not depression. She's all good. Great oppression and undeniable disadvantages. Especially by, can we elaborate on the disadvantages? What are the disadvantages? Because I feel like all of the pen pals, the money on the books, and the infamy, I don't think she hates it. But that's just my read on it. Great oppression and undeniable disadvantages, especially by broadcasting and manipulating my case online. I don't know what's been manipulated. We just watched the trial. In my criminal case, as a result, my opportunities to be given a fair, proper, and uninfluenced, successful conclusion was heavily depleted and poisoned. I forgive them. Them? All of social media? Because I imagine that there were plenty of jurors that were like, what? Who? Because if the Depp Heard case found jurors that were like, he's the guy from that movie, right? I'm pretty sure the Sarah Boone trial found jurors who were like, who? Oh, a couple of you asked, what does money on her books mean? Jordan, good question. Thank you for asking. I forget that is not common vernacular for everyone, or at least not for everyone who hasn't watched Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, where money on the books got talked about quite a lot. In prison and in jail, you have commissary, which is an area where you can go buy, I don't know, beef sticks and deodorant and ramen and things. And you have to have money on your account to be able to purchase things in commissary. And oftentimes you need someone on the outside to put the money on your account so you can buy things. When defendants are, and honey buns, yes, Chad, and honey buns. When defendants are popular on social media or even infamous on social media, people will put money on their books. There are people who just stan people in prison. They will send them letters. They will interact with them on the phone. They will pay for collect calls when they call them. They will involve themselves in their cases, which is going on in cases right now. And they will put money on their books. So they will put money that they can spend on commissary, which then can be used to barter in custody and make you very popular if you have access to all the money on your books. Kind of like when Harry Potter buys the whole trolley of sweets, and you can give it out to people because it helps like make friends. When people put money on your books and you can buy all the things, it can help smooth things over with other inmates. It's your currency. So, but yes, people will put money on their books. And this is not for all of you that are like the store at summer camp. Yes. Ad commit. Yes. Yes. Also Pop-Tarts. All right. So let us continue. For those of you that are asking, buying your own like personal hygiene gears, sometimes you get better quality of the personal hygiene that you might want from commissary. Let us continue. So she was saying, by broadcasting and manipulating my case online, in my criminal case as a result, and again, I didn't watch coverage of this case online, so I have no idea what her beef is with social media, truly. So I don't know if there was a ton of attention or if people were just talking about this case. I truly don't know, because I did not pay attention to the ongoing coverage of this case. I saw lawyer, Peter covering it, and that was about it. But I also don't go diving into what everybody's saying about a case because I just want to cover the trial. I don't want to cover the drama. If there is drama, I don't know if there is in this case, but definitely not as much as some of the high profile cases we've covered. This was a case of interest. I don't think this was the highest of high profile cases from my perspective over here. But she goes on to say, in my criminal case, as a result, my opportunities to be given a fair, proper, uninfluenced, successful conclusion was heavily depleted and poisoned. I forgive them. Oh, that's right. I forgive all of social media. Also, all the media tycoons for not having a life of their own, trying so desperately to make themselves seem so right. Who was talking about you? What media tycoons are talking about you? We're YouTubers. I mean, no, I'm changing my social media bios to media tycoon. I really might. Also, for all the media tycoons for not having a life of their own, trying so desperately to make themselves seem so right. That should have been underlined. By making me appear so wrong. Wait, where's the underlining here? Forgiveness for prejudgment, ridiculous theater. Forgiveness for prejudgment, ridiculous theatrics, lies, making and taking blood money from my and other misfortunes, accidents, and catastrophes. It's all over their hands and keyboards. I think she's real happy with the all over their hands and keyboards. She's like, this is a good line. This is a good line. This is a good line. I don't know what media tycoons she's mad at, but there is a beef in here I can also agree with. And that's every time I see a case titled something salacious, it just makes me mad. Personal beef. Every time it's like the boyfriend in a suitcase, murder trial, dun dun dun. Like, I hate that too. I get it. I hate that too. It's just Florida versus Sarah Boone. We all know what we're talking about. Some of that stuff I don't love. But she's mad at somebody. I just want to know who. Like, girl, what did they say that you're so pissed about? Like, what are we mad about? Like, what did the media tycoons do? And even after, and who are the media tycoons? And even after all that's been said and done, theorized, hypothesized, scrutinized, and blasphemed, in my case, still no one knows me. Hold on, I'm gonna need a second. What is the definition of blaspheme? Because I don't think that word means what she thinks it means, because I think blaspheme refers to speaking irreverently about God or sacred things. That is what dictionary.com has told me. And that's what I thought that it meant, to speak irreverently about God or sacred things. Does she think that she has been blasphemed? As long as she has been hypothesized, scrutinized, and theorized? Like, she's referring to her, right? Like, I think so. Because that's a choice. And she's like, and y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know me. She said, my gold. I thought that said God for a second, and I was like, my God, wait, what? She feels that she's been blasphemed. Great. My gold also runs deep for my prior attorneys. This wasn't in the, this wasn't in what she read in court. Veronica's World, the chat said, could this backfire on her? No. She's been sentenced to life. This isn't even going to be relevant in her appeal. So no, she held on to this until the end, and now she's just letting it all fly. So no, I think if anything, the judge is like, right. I read that correct. I read that situation correctly. Okay, this is new. My gold also runs deep for my prior attorneys. And she's going to name them. Ma'am, you're not Sutton. She's like, name them. Name them. Okay, Padilla, who sold me the world with empty promises, then abandoned his responsibilities as my attorney after taking 2.5 years of my life when finally realizing he was in over his head, all while hoarding JAC dollars to fund his staycations with his family while in town from Miami. Mr. Padilla, she's big mad. Taking that sweet, sweet government coin that is probably less than it cost to get from Miami to Orlando. So the lawyer funds are not exactly flowing, ma'am. All right. Well, hoarding JAC dollars, which is the court for the lawyers, because she went through so many that they had to pull bar panel attorneys for staycations with his family while in town from Miami. I mean, it seems that if he was staying at his family's home while in town from Miami, he was actually maybe saving resources. Let's see. For having resources ready and available, don't we want our lawyers to have resources ready and available? Isn't that like a good thing? For having resources ready and available, not allowing me, the client, to ever utilize, which could have greatly progressed my case. Well, you're the client, though. There are some resources you just don't get. So that you're the client, which could have greatly progressed my case and perhaps concluded, only for him to decide water parks, fine dining, and choice hotels were more important on the JAC's dime. So it sounds like this particular attorney, after she ran through the public defender's office and the alternate public defender's office, that these are private attorneys that are panel. So when there are conflicts with the public defender's office and the alternate public defender's office, you go to panel defense attorneys who get appointed by the court for representation and then paid by the court, but they also have private clients. So they get like tapped in when there's conflict. They had to tap in a lot, excuse me. They had to tap in a lot of attorneys in this case because there were so many conflicts. But he decided water parks, fine dining, and choice hotels were more important on the JAC's dime. I would be interested in those billing statements, but I'm sure she's already made numerous bar complaints because if she's if she's airing the grievances here, she has probably aired the grievances elsewhere. Smurfana said Padilla was retained, though. Padilla would have, it sounds like, been retained through the Judicial Council as a panel attorney, but I don't know. She thinks he's getting money from the JAC, and yes, is a private attorney, but would have been appointed by the panel. So, but we'll see. She's not happy with any of this. So, let's see. And if they're getting JAC money, then they're not paid for by her because she was declared indigent. So, you guys are saying this was her second attorney hired by her husband. Interesting. Well, if her husband was paying for the attorney, then what is she mad about? Oh, well, she's big mad. All right. The next attorney, she's going to go in order then. I forgive Mr. Banquets for committing perjury, underlined, to the judge and the court on the record. Well, fucking hell. For committing perjury to the judge and on the court record about my attempts to be a proactive defendant and client. I think that that's the way she sees it. I don't think that's how the attorneys see it. About my attempts to be a proactive defendant and client, inquiring about my discovery and trying to communicate with no answers or correspondence in any manner for 1 full year and 2 months, underlined, before I was able to finally meet with him in the courtroom, only to receive his motion to withdraw. Frank J, full government name, Frank J. Bankowitz, is forgiven for his greed in taking $15,000 from JAC, who honorably aid indigent defendants as myself for taking advantage of and robbing the justice system by lying and avoiding clients taking their money and the JACs. She has just a parade of grievances with her attorneys. Winston E. Hobson, you're up next for the airing of grievances from Sarah Boone. Winston E. Hobson receives my forgiveness. This is starting to read like a will. Receives my forgiveness, who also unethically perjured himself to the judge and on court record about all the progress and attorney work he did in my case for the 2 months he was court appointed, as for his allegations of my supposed unethical request, which meant me asking about my discovery and trying to have him file a motion for my lawful inclusion to my pretrial conference, cited under FRCP Discovery Rule 3.220 sub 01. I wanted to be included in my case, which actually is a very fair grievance. If she feels like she's not included in her case, that is a problem. I wanted to be included in my case and to know progress from being excluded by Bankowitz and Padilla over 3 years prior. Forgiveness. I don't think that word means what you think it means. I think what you have for them is smoke, not forgiveness. But also should be included. Yes, yes. Forgiveness also in telling me he would return in a week with my discovery, only to receive his motion to withdraw in the meantime. I'll be back next week. Never. I'm never coming back. She's literally like, he said he was just going to the store. For telling me he would return in 1 week with my discovery, only to receive his motion to withdraw in the meantime, still not receiving my discovery, and I filing my own motion, enabling me to go to all my hearings, including my pretrials. And it was successful. Some of the motions she filed were very successful, in that the court was like, yeah, you're right. But also there was a lot she had to do to have access to her discovery. Okay. Continued forgiveness. Smoke. We're just going to continued smoke. In his greed and selfish intentions. Oh, she knows what his intentions are. Also for robbing the JAC and indigent defense of $15,000 more for nothing, justifying any work he really did do in the handful of days he represented me as my attorney. I don't think anyone's getting paid $15,000 for a handful of days. But if they are, I'm sure the JAC will be like, excuse me, what did you do? Finally, and with all my gold received from this one, I forgive Patricia A. Is it Cashman? For her, oh dear. Ma'am, you have all the smoke for Patricia. Patricia! Patricia! For her mean, snotty, egotistical attitude and not listening or caring that if I receive my discovery, I kept asking her for which she fully withheld from me, citing her ridiculous, untrue reasons, was because I saw with my first attorney 4 years prior, and while she being my present at the time attorney, I saw not one page of or any digital evidence of my discovery she prohibited me from seeing. So you didn't see the discovery she didn't have, and you didn't think that she didn't have the discovery she didn't let you see? Okay. But you didn't call any of the male attorneys snotty. So, or egotistical. Just saying. Different smoke. for Patricia. Oh, we're not done with forgiving Patricia. That's right. More forgiveness for Patricia. Patricia A. Cashman, full name Patricia, you're getting your full name, is also forgiven for admitting I had a right to a bond I asked her for so I could actually utilize one of my rights as opposed to having them all violated as prior and still ongoing. Then her deference of all of my opportunities to do so. For all of her lies, condensation, gross, unnecessary arguments, and anger that I asked any questions and wanted to understand. For her doing nothing other than give me an even harder time and request transcripts, then brazenly lie for over $16,000 for doing so, also from the precious resources provided from the JAC. I forgive Patricia A. Cashman for being a liar and a bully. Did I say condensation, not condescension? I might have. Apologies for both her condensation and condescension. Yes, all. I forgive Sarah Boone for writing in cursive and for airing out all of the issues she has with Patricia. And chat, I forgive you for telling me that I said condensation. But remember, you can't ask for forgiveness. You have to hurl it at people. I forgive. Okay. Sorry, we got to brazenly lie for over $16,000 for doing so, but it sounds like this attorney and her did not get along very well at all. It seems that a lot of her attorneys had a hard time with communication. Maybe they didn't have their listening ears on, or maybe she didn't have her listening ears on. Forgiveness for all those who did not include me to receive my $15,000 share I worked for when Judge K, oh, it's Judge now, forced me to be my own attorney to represent myself pro se. Ma'am, that is not how that works. Judge, I forgive you. I forgive you for not paying me to represent myself. Did she think when she represented herself, she was going to get paid? This is like Lou Pearlman making himself like the sixth member of NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys so he could get paid as a member of the band. You're not getting paid to represent yourself because you're not a lawyer. You got money, though, for your investigator. Like you can get money for your investigators, but you don't get paid as the lawyer. But forgiveness, still, forgiveness for all those who did not include me to receive my $15,000 share I worked for when Judge K forced me to be my own attorney to represent myself pro se. I actually and finally got my own discovery almost 5 years later. Filed motions. All prior should have been done. All should have been done prior. Making them the most expensive. Making them the most expensive motions ever. Making them the most expensive motions ever. Ma'am, you have not met high-profile lawyers because let me tell you what, I guarantee you Quinn Emanuel has already run through well over $100,000 in like the week they've been on Jay-Z's case. So I know your motions, I I regret to inform you. Your motions are definitely not the most expensive motions ever, but I understand the hyperbole here with the I had to do it myself because my attorneys refused to. I think that's the point she's making. Making them the most expensive motions ever at over $46,000 between 3 prior attorneys, and she's going to name them all out again so they can be aired out thoroughly. Would they have done so when supposedly representing me? The motions, no. Would they have? See, the punctuation makes it hard for me to gather the intent, so we're just going to have to go word by word. Would they have done so when supposedly representing me? The motions would have been priceless for the proper use of the JAC funds toward ethics, professionalism, honesty, and freedom. Freedom. I think she's saying the motions would have been priceless to her if her lawyers had filed them. She says, honorably utilized my JAC resources. Y'all, she spends her JAC resources better than anybody else. Your Honor, I am the better lawyer than all of these lawyers, so you should give me the money that you paid them. I feel like that's where we're going. I honorably utilized my JAC resources and mentorship as a proactive indigent defendant, avidly defending myself against the liars, thieves, and real villains in my criminal case. Who really is the criminal?
Bruh.
I can see why her lawyer might have advised her to edit all of this out. I understand. I get it. I get it. I get it. Who really is the criminal? The JAC can hopefully include their forgiveness for them also. So she's asking the JAC to forgive the lawyers who represented Sarah because Sarah did a better job than any of her lawyers did. And so her lawyers are thieves. Oh dear. She's calling the judges by name, and then she's going to air them out too. That's what's happening, isn't it? Just like the pen pal was happening, this is happening. Judge, is it Wolfen? Judge W and Judge K. I have great forgiveness for also in not protecting me in listening to my valid requests for judicial intervention so I could properly and fairly defend myself against my charges. Instead, I had to defend myself against the attorneys, all appointed by the judge in the court, against their lies and exaggerations, reasons unjustifiably why they were really creeping away from the battlefield and abandoning their professional duty as my attorney. She really wants to call them cowards. She's like, and their yellow-bellied cowardice of slinking away into the night with motions to withdraw. They wouldn't even say it to my face, Your Honor. They said, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. And then they filed motions to withdraw like the cowards that they are. That's okay. Okay. Oh dear. Judge K. Oh, we're not done with Judge K. But she's calling him a judge now. It was Mr. at the beginning. Now we're back to judge. Chat's like, go code red, go code red, go code red. I want to see how she airs out the judge. The fact that this is all edited out. Woo-hoo-hoo. All of you are like, code red, code red, code red, code red. Give us a second. Let's see what she says about the judge. We're still at Audacity. I am still shook. Judge K, I forgive you for not giving me any opportunity to stand at your pulpit. What? You were heard in court so much? There's some defendants whose voices I don't even know what sound like. I think I've heard Karen Reed say 3 words in court. Like, yes, Your Honor. No. And that's about it. Ma'am, you've had so much opportunity to speak. Oh, chat, you're right. Yes, thank you. Where was that comment? I want to give credit where credit is due. This is very fair. I saw the comment and I didn't see who said it, and I'm sorry because I would love to give you credit. You're right. It was Mr. After sentencing. This was written before. This was judge that was written before. Thank you for that comment. Very astute. I think you are absolutely correct. She edited this out because her attorney said, do not air out the judge if you're asking for mercy. And she then wrote the addendum afterwards because she's lost all respect. This is when she was still trying to play nice. This is what she wrote when she was still trying to play nice because she wanted something from the judge. A lighter sentence. That's right. Okay. Judge K, I forgive you for not giving me any opportunity to stand at your pulpit, to stand at all, to explain the real, truthful, lawful law side of the story. I believe if the justice system, including yourself, would and should have done any vital homework, that one was tough, on the already almost see-through on the already almost see-through attorneys from being spread so thin and simply sending an email to care about their peers' workload, that would be grossly overstepping. Numerous number of clients' trial schedules already in place before throwing another inmate defendant unknown client on their heaping unimportant pile of warm bodies. More taxpayer dollars could be conserved, ma'am. And less time consumed, and this is still one sentence, and less time consumed and wasted for everyone, regardless of what part they play in the supposed system of justice. So you're mad that your attorneys had too much work, but you also thought they were taking vacations, going to theme parks, stealing money, and are mean liar bullies. But yes, attorneys in the system are often overworked. It is also their obligation to say, I cannot take another client. Wow. And also, it's not the job's judge. It's not the judge's job. It's not the judge's job. My forgiveness is deepened. Oh, there's a deepening of forgiveness. My forgiveness is deepened for taking even greater time of 9 away years. You were in custody for like 4? I'm not quite sure what the 9 years are. By not caring to ask me anything about anything to understand so you could justly render your life defining judgments and withhold any bias and prejudice. Oh, and withhold any more bias and prejudice. It's not his job to ask you things when you're represented by counsel. It's actually really improper for him to do so. And when you were representing yourself, that you had the opportunity to speak to the court quite a lot, and you testified in your own defense, and you spoke to law enforcement, which was ill-advised, and you put it on video. So you definitely were heard. We're 2 pages in on the judge. Foremost, Judge Kraynick, I forgive you. I can see why her lawyer said we're editing this shit out right now. I forgive you for kicking me when I was down and what the fuck? And choking the life out of my constitutional amendments. That's what choking the life out of your constitutional amendments is what we're going with. Chat granted. Chat granted. Chat. Yeah. Code red is granted. See, aren't you glad we waited for code red? I don't think that was a bad choice of words, chat. I think that was a deliberate choice of words. Like a really deliberate choice of words. And again, it's always a good reminder that you have the right to remain silent, but some do not have the ability. So with that, we're going to code red for all of you that are flash sensitive. Our code red bumper is flashy. The bumper ends when the music ends. So if you are flash sensitive, it will flash. I am going code red in 3, 2, 1. All right, let's get back to this letter because this was a choice. So this was a choice. But again, we see how we ended up here with Sarah Boone, right? We see why she's talking to the police. We see why she's like, but you didn't let me explain, but you didn't let me explain, but you didn't let me explain, but you don't understand, but you're not right, but you don't understand, but we can see how we got here. Foremost, Judge K, and foremost is coming at the end here. I forgive you for kicking me when I was down and choking the life out of my constitutional amendments, most profoundly my Sixth Amendment right to counsel as a result of my all as a result of my wholehearted use of my First Amendment right to free speech and being my own advocate since no one else would be and received a paycheck for. In all of my free speech experience-driven letters. What is a free speech experience-driven letter? In all of my free speech experience-driven letters, only for remedy in any collaboration in collusion, receiving my discovery as an inmate, defendant, and client, not removal of any attorneys to cause more delays or any reason or excuse you may try to force on me and have already inappropriately accused me of doing prior with your heavily insinuated strategies of mine to try and deflect the glaring red flags, disappointments, and true crime in and of the justice system? What? I don't know. It's I don't have words for that sentence slash paragraph. Foremost, what? Second, what? We're just I don't know, and I don't know what a true crime in and of the justice system is. So we're just going to keep going. To this day and all forward, I do not forfeit my rights, any of them, ever. Well, yes, you have maintained your right of free speech. She is like, I am going to be heard. All. I do not underscore forfeit my rights, any of them underscore ever, especially my right to be bold, outspoken, and right in my real life experiences. Yeah, you don't want to forfeit your right to be right. With the legal and justice systems. You weren't there, Judge K, in anything. No meetings, phone calls, visits. What do you think the judge is supposed to do? The judge can't be in your meetings with your lawyers. The judge isn't supposed to have phone calls with you. Those are improper ex parte communications. Ask the judges in Georgia. The judge can't visit you. Do you think the judge is going to visit you in custody? It would be so improper. What do you think the judge's job is? You weren't there, Your Honor. He's not your support system. He's the judge. He's not your therapist. He's not your friend. He's not your lawyer. He's the judge. Just doing the judge things. Her beef is that he wasn't there in any of her meetings or calls or visits. And still took my rights and oppressed harder. Ma'am, look, if you have a crush on this judge and are mad he didn't call you in prison, I am sorry, but I don't know what to tell you. The oppressed harder is not what? What? I must now defend myself against you, praying you do not care too late as all the others. Oh, that's what it was. Everyone cared too late. This is not what judges do. Okay. I don't think he's worried about it. I must now defend myself against you. I can see why her lawyer told her not to put any of this in. Praying you do not care too late as all the others and retaliate further against me as a still proud citizen of the United States of my America. Does that say the United States of my America? It doesn't. Chat, that's not what that says. Chat. Chat. The United States of my America, and freely, excitedly using my God-given rights to still try and defend myself, to stand all the way up. Stand up. Okay. She's going to start singing, "'Cause I'm proud to be an American." Like, what? I don't think I've ever seen anyone put those words together in that order. As a still proud citizen of the United States of my America, and freely, excitedly using my God-given rights to still try to defend myself, to stand all the way up, for you to remove my freedom altogether. That did happen. By allowing and approving my stab wound. What? By allowing and approving. He wasn't involved at all when all of this happened. She said, by allowing and approving my stab wound, bloody body parts, rapes, bumps, bruises, and all the rest of the beatings I endured. I hope you can finally see and understand just some, of the pain from the extreme difficulties, obstacles, and unfairness, especially in my due process, you have added in my criminal case. This is your fault, Your Honor. In life as an inmate, defendant, and client, all is forgiven. The fuck it is. All is forgiven. This does not read like all is forgiven to me. Oh, we're on to law enforcement now. We've gone through the judicial system. We've gone through the lawyers. We've gone through the lawyers. We've gone through the judges. And now to the detectives. 4 detectives, Copsel and Lauren. I forgive their dehumanization. I think that's dehumanization. Dehumanization, lies, blacklisting, coercion, law-breaking solicitation. So, demonization. Thank you, chat. Demonization. For their demonization lies, blacklisting. What was she blacklisted from? Blacklisting, coercion, law-breaking, solicitation. Are we just making lists of my case before I even arrive at the corrections department to be booked and fingerprinted? This can be seen in my unbeknownst interrogation. In my unknowing? Okay, no. This can be seen in my unbeknownst interrogation video where I ask what they are doing, what all the pinging was during their texting swarm, while I naively sit there waiting to be arrested, which they knew would happen the day before. Which they knew would happen the day before. For Copsel, for bald face. Oh, we've moved on to a different sentence, but not. For Copsel, for bald face lying on the stand to the judge and court on record, she didn't tell me to come to the station to pick up my phone. Why else would I go? Well, you want to be heard. I didn't even know about the surprise interrogation. If you knew about it, would you have gone? Because she's like, I'm going to tell you what. You did. When they say you have the right to remain silent, they're giving you an option. I forgive them for also lying how the news showed up to record my walk of shame. Handcuffed and confused on camera. I forgive them for trying to make me lose from the beginning by starting the unquenchable? Yes. By starting the unquenchable wildfire of sensationalism. I think Detective Copsel would like to say, we didn't start the fire. It was always burning before the world was turning. But that's just me. The filler words. Okay. I forgive them for trying to make me lose from the beginning by starting the unquenchable wildfire of sensationalism and distortion, ignorant hate, defamation, and greed by unlawfully broadcasting who they wanted the world to think I was by their schemes, learned lessons, and fraudulent strategies from the school of manipulation and taking advantage. The school of manipulation and taking advantage, Sarah. Okay. How much did they make off me and still are calling it in? I mean, they get paid to go to work. Then removing the curtain. What? How much did they make off of me and still are for calling it in? You called the police, Sarah? Then removing the curtain to expose their personally twisted, murdering monster. What? There's a whole lot that she thinks is going on here that isn't what's going on here. Okay. Also, my forgiveness and greater gold comes from wondering why nothing viable in my defense was taken from my townhome, aka, oh, thank you for explaining, aka the crime scene, to aid in my truth, such as the butcher knife, 5-pronged garden claw, or hammer under the table. Did the butcher knife, garden claw, or hammer have anything to do with anything? Oh, she thinks it does. Or the hammer under the table together outside where George had easy access for use if I tried to leave or call for help while being held against my will during his rageful binges. But if they were outside and he was in a suitcase and you left, how are they evidence? Okay. She said, or my bloody pillowcase stained from me being backhanded because I hid the magnum-size bottle of vodka from him. This isn't even the same time period. Why weren't any crime scene photos taken of holes punched in walls and doors, some doors missing knobs? I mean, I think we saw the whole house. And we saw a lot of video of various different times. And in all of the police video, that wasn't in any of them. We saw a lot of body cam. Some doors missing knobs and all locks George removed, cracked windows, broken furniture, obvious unnatural destruction in my townhome. How and why were these missed, uncared about, or not questioned so I could explain some of them? I mean, there's a lot of video, though. Like, there's video on your phone. There's video from all the time the police showed up. Oh, chat, don't worry. It makes no difference. All is forgiven. Period. Oh, we're on to the prosecutors. Wait, why didn't the prosecutors get categorized with the lawyers? Like defense lawyers, judge, prosecutors. I don't understand how we got to this order. Mr. J and Mr. Cacciatore, my forgiveness is also extended for your inappropriate attributed motives. So what motives are you attributing to them that are inappropriate? For having to go through years of my pictures. I mean, you should actually ask them for forgiveness for having to go through years of your pictures. Okay, wait. She's forgiving them for going through her photos in a crime. Okay, my forgiveness is extended for your inappropriate attributed motives for having to go through years of my pictures, videos, texts to erroneously piece together your deceitful, damning? Receitful, damning version of what really happened and who I am. Nobody was talking about really who you were. They were talking about the thing that happened. Nobody really started talking about you until you put on a self-defense defense, and then they have to talk about you. But Sarah's all up in here being like, I want to talk about me. I want to talk about mine. I want to talk about number one, old by me mine. Yeah, that's a throwback chat. You. No, Emily, we're not singing. They pieced together, they say, a deceitful, damning version of what really happened and who I am. After so much availability and for so long, you were finally able to make the circle fit into a square. It's the video, though. It's the video, though. Okay. She says, I forgive your antics, theatricals, ludicrous comments to make sure the world got their moment's worth. No, sorry. To make sure the world got their money's worth while watching with ignorant pitchforks. What did the pitchforks do? Why is ignorance being attributed to them? With ignorant pitchforks and burning torches, hoping for the best from you, which is my worst. Instead of dropping Is she saying instead of dropping the mic, Mr. J, you dropped the bat? Is Sarah, were you in the chat when we were talking about closing arguments? Instead of dropping the mic, Mr. J, you dropped the bat. I mean, he kind of did that. He kind of did that. Yeah, she's definitely not happy with the prosecutors. The chat did say it was a mic drop. So there's that. Did they yell? Chat, did they yell? Please help me. Oh. Did she say, oh, she did say Mike, M-I-K-E, not M-I-C. My brain is so struggling with the handwriting that I didn't even clock it. Chat clocked it. I don't think they yelled. For the yelling, finger pointing, and intense. I don't know what that word is. I'll let you guys let me know. Intense something to force your theoreticals and fantastics on the jury by using imaginary space adventures. They did say that. It might be underlying. Oh, that's right. Intense underlining. Thank you, chat. For the yelling, finger pointing, and intense underlining to force your theatricals and fantastics on the jury by using imaginary space adventures and fictional characters to blind and bedazzle them with your far, far away from the truth dramatizations. Okay, she kind of read them a bit on all the fucking Star Wars hypotheticals. She's definitely read them on the Star Wars hypotheticals. It's not a bad line. Far, far away from the truth dramatizations. I don't know if the... Oh, you guys are saying theoreticals. Sorry, not theatricals. Fair enough. My brain is struggling with her writing, but it's a read. The far, far away Star Wars reference is kind of a 10. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, chat, I can't answer what intense underlining is. I don't know. But thank you for the correction on the force your theoreticals and fantastics on the jury by using imaginary space adventures. They did talk about the Force. Heather says, I don't remember the Star Wars references. Oh, there were numerous Star Wars references in the closing arguments. And there were Star Wars references in some of the legal arguments before we even got to closing arguments. But I don't know if a lawyer is going to be insulted by the intense underlining. I wonder if the prosecutors have read this yet. I imagine that they are not displeased with the far, far away from truth dramatizations. I imagine that they were just like, well, touche. However, it goes on to say, in all of your pieced together productions, I forgive you most. This is not what forgive. This is just airing grievances. She's just like, fuck you the most for never seeing the light in people, their human goodness, humor, and big hearts. You wake up to seek out the opposite, to condemn, and to take lives in your own way. I don't think they would have charged this case the way they did if it wasn't on video, is the thing. See the good that does exist in all of us inherently and unforced, even as the proud, something. Even as the proud Mr. J stated, quote, the kicked dog that bit. Mr. J, who kicked the dog in the first place. In my wisdom, it usually best to leave sleeping dogs lie, then they don't bite. She definitely has some smoke for the prosecution. She sees herself as the kicked dog, it seems. That's not what Mr. J was referring to in that legal argument, though. Ooh. Okay. My gold goes out to the jury. Oh, there's smoke for the jury in here? Okay. Well, okay. My gold goes out to the jury. I thought we were talking about the gold that was being thrust upon you. We're still in this analogy. My gold goes out to the jury. I can't even fathom the amount of effort that Owens put in to getting her to leave all of this out. Can you imagine what that conversation was like? This is pages and pages and pages and pages that Owens is like, nope, 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 nope. Like Owens noped out so much of this and she listened to him. I think it's good that she listened to him. I mean, she's not happy about it, obviously, which is why we're getting the letter of like, hey, everybody, I held back, but not anymore. Want to know how I really feel? This. But the fact that Mr. J was able to get her to redact this much is a fucking miracle at this point. My gold goes out to the jury for not understanding my cracks, from being blinded from the injustice and malpractice in all of the judicial and prosecutorial errors. The very apparent. Could we name those? I would like to know what those are. The very apparent violations of my constitutional rights during my case and entire trial, which caused mass confusion and dysfunction. I forgive the jury, truly, for being wary from this confusion and dysfunction. Also, from being hungry and tired and wanting to go home to their families after being away from in a full capacity for 2 weeks. I understand. Underline period. Every time the judge said to the jury, hey, do you guys want to stay? The jury's like, let's roll. Let's go. From this and their we're not done with the smoke for the jury. There's a heart. From this and their brash, misguided, corrupted How did we go from I understand to brash, misguided, corrupted? Okay. From this and their brash, misguided, corrupted decision, I was wrongfully judged a murderer instead of a survivor. For this, all is forgiven. I don't believe that that's true. I do think that she does not understand that the law requires the immediacy in self-defense and that the jury did not find that immediacy was there. I don't think it undermines the things that happened to her. She sees it that way clearly. She is very frustrated that they don't see the things that she's been through as an justification for murder. The jury does not see that. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. It means that it's not self-defense in this case. And she definitely doesn't sound like that has sat well with her. She says brash, misguided. For this, all is forgiven. For this, I can still survive and stand tall, having an even greater, the greatest opportunity to finally be understood in the Supreme Court for my appeal. The grandiosity that came up during the trial is definitely popping up in the letter. I didn't lose. God just wanted me to win in a different way. Freedom in forgiveness. Heart. In the end, I forgive myself. This she did read. I don't think this will make it to the state Supreme Court. This will definitely not make it to the federal Supreme Court. This she read in court. In the end, I forgive myself for not choosing my life sooner. Um, for not being more brave, vigilant, bolder, and outspoken, stronger mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, for being helpless, desperate, simple minded, weak. I don't think she thought of herself as simple minded when she gave her interviews. That's not what came across in her interviews. I forgive myself for not realizing I was enduring, I think is what that says, a life of domestic violence, and that the violence cycle and that the vicious cycle of enduring a life of domestic violence and that the vicious cycle of never ends. I had nothing to compare to. I have never been hit by a man ever before in my life. I was raised hitting a woman was wrong and should never happen, period. No excuse. She read all of this in court. This part was read in court. I forgive myself for not escaping permanently, for not fighting back sooner to save myself, my son, my dogs, home, and car. Having 2020 hindsight, thinking of everything I could have done differently or better to avoid the outcome. I think about this every day since. This part I believe. This part I believe. I believe she does think in hindsight of things she could have done differently. I imagine that is true. This goes back to the good days that they had together. This was all read in court. I forgive myself for falling in love with a monster, she says. This she said in court. In all my forgiveness, George is my greatest lesson and will always be a part of me. Is this when she talks about the gates of heaven? I think so, because this was part of her statement at sentencing. When I first came to jail, I put my mat under my bed and cried all day and night for months. We talked about that. She covered that. So I think we're back to the non-redacted part of the letter. George haunts me. He is everywhere. I believe because I do still love him, think of him, and miss his laugh the most. In my heart, I know he is with me and understand that this tragedy was not intentional. I hope everyone can, his family foremost. I didn't mean for this to happen. Please wholeheartedly know that, and always I would never. Forgive me, George. Forgive me, Torres family. She read this. Forgive me, Judge Kraynick. To the entire planet, forgive me. She did read this. I graciously and humbly, yes, I remember this. I graciously and humbly ask for consideration, for forgiveness to be extended instead of judgment. And then at the beginning, she was like, hey, look at all the nice things I said to you. And you didn't sentence me to less. So you know what? Fuck all of you. Because that's where the beginning of the letter started. Okay. For reconciliation and restoration for all of us to move forward, my apology is profuse and ceaseless. Allow me, please, Emily, no. Allow me, please, to brush off the muck, wipe the blood off my face, and fix the cuts in my skin. I ask for understanding in what really happened and for how long. For second chances, repentance, and redemption, to advocate for domestic violence survivors, to help them overcome, heal, and still hope, always to make their voices heard, to confidently walk with all of their scars on the outside and inside. We've reached the soft-spoken conclusion. In my soft-spoken conclusion, I ask this: would I be the darling mother, celebrated woman of the year, if it were I who died? This all was said in court. She goes on to say, how many daughters, mothers, sisters, aunts, grandmothers, nieces, and friends have been because they did? I am a survivor. Learn to do good, seek justice, rebuke the oppressor, defend the faithless, plead for the widow. Isaiah 117, all-encompassing, protect the abused. Sarah Boone, 12-24, addressed to Mr. Michael Kraynick. And yes, for all of you saying, darling mother is the only time she mentioned her son, or the fact that she was a mother, didn't really mention her son, mentioned she was a mother, yes. It is the only time she, no, she mentioned her son once when she said that she was forgiving George for abusing her when she needed to go to sleep to go to her son's event. That's the only time she talked about it. That is a doozy. That letter is giving a lot of, you made me do these things and now you don't understand why I did them. And that's on you, but it's okay because I forgive you. But look at what you made me do. That's a lot. I think my takeaway from that letter, and we'll get to questions in a moment. I think my takeaway from that letter is that, well, rage first. She is clearly pissed, which is understandable. She's been sentenced to life and she still does not see that this is a problem. She does not see that she did anything wrong. She does not feel that she did anything wrong. And that this was done to her, not because of what she did, but also that the amount that was edited out of this must have taken a lot of work on her attorney's part. I'm glad she trusted her attorney to redact it. But that didn't go very long when she got sentenced to life and then was like, well, I held back, but fuck that. I'm not holding back anymore. So she seems to regret her decision to hold it back and was like, look, if you're going to sentence me to life anyway, I'm going to let you know what I have to say. And that was wild. That was wild. So it's consistent, I think, with what we've seen from Sarah Boone. It is consistent with what we saw in court. It does not surprise me reading this that she did not take the plea deal of 15 years. I think she thought going to trial she would be acquitted because she really does not understand how people don't see it her way. And it doesn't seem that her attorneys were able to explain to her exactly how much risk she was at. And I think the difficulty that she has with that in all of this is she's like, these things happened to me. I was stabbed in the leg. These things happened. I don't understand why that isn't the defense that I'm looking for. And she is not seeing the difference between, yes, those things happened, but on this day, at this time, you weren't needing to use self-defense. And the fact that she said things like, I wanted to punish him, I wanted to make him feel the things I felt, indicates that she was not in fear at the time. She was vengeful. And that is not the same thing as needing self-defense, even when there had been abuse between her and George in the past. And I think her bringing that defense up opened the door to a lot of information that wouldn't have come in otherwise. We wouldn't have seen all of the videos of the police coming out. We wouldn't have seen all of the videos of her going after George. We wouldn't have seen all of that. And so the case would have been left with, you know, the video, what she said, and her saying, I didn't really think that this was going to cause him to die. This wasn't intentional. The jury might have said, is this a horrible accident because people were intoxicated? If you hadn't seen all the police video, the body cam video, and the videos in rebuttal, I could see the jury saying, is this really just a horrible accident? Is this really people that are just too intoxicated? And she was just incredibly intoxicated. And maybe the jury would have come back not with the second degree, but with the manslaughter, not the second degree murder, the manslaughter, going, you know what? I think everybody was really drunk and this should not have happened. But she did zip him in the suitcase. She knew he was in the suitcase and she went to bed. Maybe the jury would have come back with that manslaughter going, this is a horrible This is a horrible accident, but it's not really an accident because she knew and she intended to zip it, but it's not a murder. Um, and they might have. But once you get to the um once you get to the body cam footage of the police calls, and then you get to the rebuttal footage of her going after George and abusing George, it's just done. Because it's a totally different perspective on the case. It's a totally different perspective on her, and it changes the way you see her talking to him when he's in the suitcase. So by the time you get to closing argument and they're hitting the suitcase with the bat, you're like, damn, this is not just people were drunk and she zipped him in and videotaped it and was saying things to him and fell asleep. That's not it. But it might have been, had she not tried to run the defense saying she was in the right. So I think her wanting to run that defense might have been a lot of the contention with her other lawyers. I wonder if her other attorneys said to her, look, these things did happen between you and George. And those things happening are going to open the door to everything. And with him being in a suitcase, it's going to be very hard for a jury to find that you were in fear because there were fingers. And you didn't say to the police, I was scared, I zipped him in because I had to and I ran. You didn't say that. You didn't do that. What you said to the police is it was an accident. And if we change direction from your original statement with it was an accident, it's going to bring out a lot more information. And that information is going to be really, really bad for you. And some of that information is going to be bad for George too, but it's not likely to outweigh how bad it is for you. And I imagine that those conversations between her and her lawyers did not go well. And they were interpreted by her as, you don't believe me, you're not listening to me, you're not hearing me, you don't have your listening ears on, you just don't understand. You need me to tell you more. This was unintentional. This was not intentional. And look at everything that he did to me. And so I think it would be very hard for her attorneys to convince her that running that defense was ultimately going to make it worse and that the manslaughter was a better option. And when the prosecution offered her a manslaughter for 15 years, that would have been her best bet. But she didn't see it that way and very, very much thought that the jury would see it her way because she can't see it any other way. So Kraken Studio said, did Emily talk 10 hours today? No. I was quiet-ish during the Karen Reed hearing. So no, there was a lot of hearing happening. It was not as much of me talking. It was a lot of Karen Reed hearing and me piping in bits. So with that, you guys, I'm going to change the lights back. We're going to go to questions. That was my kind of summary. We're not at case closed yet because there's going to be an appeal. So a case closed bumper at this point is just a lie. It's just a lie. I forgive Sarah Boone for this case not being over. There will be more letters. We are going to have to do more. So let's do some questions real quick. And then I want to go see what happened at the Game Awards. And I'm going to go eat. I'm going to go to bed and see how my kiddo is doing. So let's take some questions. All right. Chat, that was a wild one. This case, man, she is never going to see it the way my in-ears keep pulling my shirt down that way. She's never going to see it the way everybody else sees it. And that is difficult. So it's going to be tough. Lou said, can this letter affect her appeal in any way? No. It's not going to affect her appeal. She definitely thinks that everybody was wrong. Summertime said, what grounds does she have for an appeal? I don't know. I think she's going to appeal on some of the grounds we saw the motion for new trial on, which would be that she was forced to represent herself and that her new attorneys didn't get a continuance. And the what the defense called an outburst they brought up. So I think they're going to continue on with those grounds, but an appellate attorney will go back over the entire record and bring the appeal. And then when we see the appeal, we will go through it. And I really think the judge went a far way for patience in this case. And I do think that I was very disappointed when Judge K had nothing to say other than sentencing. I was mad. I was like, come on, Judge K, we just want to know. Judge K knew this letter was coming. Like in his soul, Judge K is like, this is going to happen. And she just aired everybody out in it. Had Judge K said anything, this letter would have been at least another 5 pages, if not more, on what she said. So I just, Ashley asked, Emily, as a prosecutor, have you had defendants with similar personality traits as Sarah Boone? Yes, I did a lot of fraud cases. And there are a lot of similar personality traits with people who commit fraud and with Sarah Boone. There's a lot of grandiosity. There's a lot of I've done nothing wrong. There's a lot of everyone just needs to see it my way. There's a lot of this is just businessy business, not fraud or money laundering or whatever. It's just, I'm smarter than all of you. You all just don't understand. It's like, well, yeah, I think I understand pretty well. We don't see things the same way, but I think that that's money laundering. So Alexis said, so what was the purpose of the letters? This letter was I'm not done talking to you yet. This letter was I'm going to have the final word. That's what I think this letter was. I'm not done. And I held back my interpretation. I held back on what I wanted to say. And then you sentenced me to life. So fuck you. This is what I had to say. That's the letter. You're going to listen to what I have to say to you. That's how I interpret the letter. But again, when we watched it in trial, some of what she said in her testimony on the stand was, when George was zipped in the suitcase, I knew he had to listen to me. And he was going to sit there and listen to what I had to say. That's what this letter is. So, that it was the full of, she wasn't done airing everybody out. And I also think she wanted to air out everybody publicly because she didn't do it yet. Like she didn't have the opportunity to air out her attorneys publicly. She didn't air out the defendants or anybody else. So I think she wanted it known. And this is the way she can communicate with the world and the mafia. I'm sorry. I mean, the internet. So, and I will have to decide if there are more of these, if I'm going to give it any air or not. That will be for later. But I did say she was going to write to the judge. We did want to see the unredacted letter, so I feel like we got what we asked for in this one. I don't know if this will get much more air from me. I want to see the grounds from the appellate lawyer for appeal. I'm curious to see what they identify, but I don't know if there's more letters, what I'll do. We'll see. We'll just go case by case. GC said, calling us organized is a nice compliment. I know. Look at us. We're tycoons and moguls. We've all girl bossed quite hard. So yeah, today has been a long day, but I think she will not be done with letters. I mean, I had a defendant that, a fraud defendant that kept writing to the judge from prison because he was very upset about the photograph, his booking photo, that I used of him in my closing arguments, and that I used a PowerPoint and his attorney didn't use a PowerPoint, and he thought that disadvantaged him in his case. And I was like, my handwriting is bad and I spelled things wrong. And that's embarrassing to me. So the PowerPoint is my way around the fact that I get embarrassed when I have to write things on the board. And it is very clear that I am dyslexic. And so that's why I use PowerPoint. But he was very upset with the unflattering booking photo and the fact that I used a PowerPoint and his attorney didn't use a PowerPoint. And it was like letter after letter after letter after letter to the court about the booking photo. He was just so mad about the unflattering booking photo and was convinced that that was the reason that he was convicted. Not that when I was cross-examining him on the stand, he admitted to doing everything. That wasn't it. That wasn't it. It was the booking photo. That was it. Admission on the stand under cross-examination? Nah. Unflattering booking photo. That was the thing. Jody said, hey, EDB, I was wondering if you could wish Jody a Merry Christmas to the best mom and judicial assistant ever. Love, M, Katie, and Kat. Hold on. Let's read that again. Let's read that together better, Jody. Yes, I can. So, Jody, Merry Christmas to the best mom and judicial assistant ever. Love, M, Katie, and Kat. Happy holidays, Lawnards. There we go. Yes, Jody, I can, and I'm happy to. Lala said, in India, I watched stream before I went to bed and I'm now watching when I've woken up. Thank you. That means I've been streaming way too long today. But don't worry, tomorrow there will be no streaming because I will be taking my kiddo to the doctor and going from there in the day. But we will see. This Britzy asked the question lots of you asked in the chat. Can her lawyers sue her for defamation? No. This is all part of litigation. Also, I don't know if it's going to be reputationally damaging. Yes, she is accusing them of crimes. She's probably made bar complaints as well, but no, it's within litigation. I mean, do you read this as an airing of grievances? I read this as an airing of grievances. I think many would. So I don't know if people would read it as statements of fact either, given the context of everything. But no, litigation will cover that. So Becca said, who did the redacting for her sentencing? Owens gave an interview after sentencing and said he advised her and requested that she take certain things out. So that was between her and Owens. And then she did choose not to read parts of it momentarily. She's pissed that she made that choice. And now she's going to let us know. Thank you guys for the gifted memberships. B2, thank you for the 50 gifted memberships. That's incredibly generous. Welcome to all the new law nerds. Thank you to everyone who gifted memberships. J. Michael, good to see you. Michael said, welcome to Central Florida. So much happening here. Can't wait to get my law nerd shop packages. Did you bring them? I mean, yes, I should have flown them in with you. No Disney for you. Exactly. That's where we should be this holiday season. New Disney ship, new Disney cruise. But no, we're here. We're hunkering down. I'm waiting for it to snow so I can sit and read a book and drink hot chocolate and watch it snow. That is what I am waiting for. It will. I want to stand outside my house and go, it smells like snow. When really it's because I was looking at Nashville severe weather and they said it was going to snow. But either way, we're still going to do it. Elise said any day with law professor EDP breaking down legal facts is a good day. I don't know if we got into much legal facts with this letter. This letter was not a lot of legal facts. This letter was a inconcise airing of grievances. So, Jess said, is this the first Boone letter you are doing live? Yes. This is the first time we have done a Boone letter live because I just covered the trial and there weren't any letters during trial because she was with Owens. I covered a little bit of her request for attorney. And so that I covered, but I did not cover all of the letters. I know a lot of them were like this. But I think Owens was like, girl, you're not going to help yourself. This is going to make it worse. If you want a chance at not getting life, you can't literally bring smoke for everyone in the system. The judge is not going to see you as remorseful. So maybe hold back on that. Maybe pump the brakes a little bit. And she did. She listened to him, which I think says a lot for the work that Owens did to build his attorney-client relationship. I have to wonder if the amount of work it took for Owens to build that attorney-client relationship and have Sarah listen to him took away from the time that he had to prep the case. So we'll see. Miss Defadiddle, I hope I said that right, said diagnosed with breast cancer 1 year ago, surgery, radiation, and meds for 5 years. Just got the results from a scan on Tuesday, and it was clear, still cancer-free. Congratulations on still being cancer-free. Congratulations. So let's see. Eli said my mother didn't believe in thermometers. No idea. I mean, sometimes you can just tell if you can just tell with your kids. You can just kind of look at them and be like, oh yeah, you definitely got a fever. I always use thermometers as backup though. Chris K, thank you so much. Thanks, Emily, for covering this. Have a merry and happy holidays. Hope your kid feels better. Me too. I'll keep you guys in the loop because we'll have a new Quick Bits on Monday for you, and I will be back on Tuesday. So we'll keep you in the loop. Paige said, question, is this in the record for potential appeal? I mean, it's in the record, but it's not really relevant to appeal. It's post-sentencing anger. So no. Yellow Pill said at some point, read with the deep voice changer. No, if we were going to read any voice,
it would have been this one. But again,
it's difficult because though I see all the audacity, I see all the fuckery, Sarah is still going to be sentenced to prison for life. And so not wanting to voice change her, because it's just at the end of the day, she just doesn't see that what she did is wrong, which is infuriating for the victim. It's really wild to watch, but she really doesn't see it. And so it's hard. So yes, no voice changer on this one, even with all the audacity and all of the fuckery. But it is, I don't think she's not going for fuckery. She's saying, what's wrong with all of you that you don't see it the way I do? And I think that maybe some more time with the therapists in custody might help her understand why that is. Perhaps, and I hope that she gets the help that she needs in custody. And I think that she will she will find purpose in custody. I wouldn't be surprised if Sarah takes the time to go to law school in custody. So I don't think we are done. I think Sarah will be very busy as a jailhouse attorney for everybody. So I think that Sarah will definitely make use of her time. And of the people that came in at sentencing, they said that she was generous with her time with them, that she wanted to be with them. And I think if everyone listens to her, she'll probably get along with them just fine. So we'll see what happens in prison. So Teenage Rifle said, I just popped into stream and Emily was like, what's wrong with all of you? I was speaking proverbially for Sarah Boone because I think that's what she thinks. And it's different. It's different. So it's hard. EDB, she had her pen pal do the deep dives. And a lot of the stuff in her letter was similar to the stuff her pen pal said, because Sarah does feel like she's been vilified by social media. I don't know if she means that people are vilifying her on social media, or if she means that people are saying, hey, so there's a video and that police interview, and those are kind of a don't pass go situation. So it's tough. Matt, Future ESQ, good to see you in the chat. Bethany said, well, I do wish Judge K would have given a statement. It's clear now that she would have twisted any words he would have said. Yes, and anyone who has, and I know that they said in trial very often that Sarah Boone has narcissistic traits, but was not diagnosed with NPD. Anyone who has ever dealt with anyone that has narcissistic traits can see exactly how that would have spiraled. So many people have their own interactions with that in their real life. Does that excuse anything? No. Does it explain why the letter is the letter? I think we understand why the letter is the letter based on everything we saw at trial and based on what the doctors said at trial. So I think we saw, we saw quite a lot of that. So Janice said, have you heard if the family court judge has ruled on Brian not having to pay alimony anymore? The judge was waiting on her criminal trial outcome. I don't I have not seen if the judge has ruled on that. I have not looked. But I will check on that after the holidays. But she is still going to appeal. But it would seem counterintuitive to me that he would pay support if she is in custody. So yeah. Music to My Soul said, Emily, it is so clear to me now that you were absolutely right about her feelings toward the plea deal. She doesn't regret not taking it at all. No, because she's not going, she said it in her letter. I am never going to say that I did what you say I did. She goes, it was not intentional. You don't understand. You don't see it the way that I do. She very much is, you are all wrong. I am right. And that is not going to change. And it's hard with a second degree because she's like, I didn't mean for this to happen. And she doesn't see that meaning to zip him in the suitcase and choosing to leave him there when he says he can't breathe counts as a murder. She's not seeing that that counts. So it's tough. Elizabeth Fitzpatrick said, thank you all for the hugs, love, and prayers. I'm bawling because Hubs starts dialysis at 4 p.m. to go to hospital at 5 a.m. Loving this stream. Well, I'm glad we can be here with you guys. And it's difficult. The cases we cover are difficult. The personalities that we cover are difficult, but look, man, the statements about the victim's family are just bullshit. And it's hard. And she's not trying to bullshit. It's the way she sees it, but it's tough. And I really feel for the victim's family in this one. It's always hard, but to have the defendant turn around and be like, you should have done more. I just can't even. I mean, that when you couple it with the fact that she says that she's been blasphemed and that it is the United States of her America, it's a lot. Just, girl, what? So I hope we are just at the end with this. I'm curious to see what the appeals grounds are. The grounds. But the good Lord. I feel for the Torres family. It's frustrating. And there's nothing much they can do except move on together and know that she is in custody for the rest of her life. So it's odd to me that in all of this, she didn't mention Brian Boone or her son at all. Like at all. It's odd. It's odd to me. But she wanted to tell everybody else what she thought, and she had the opportunity. So I think we have given full space and breadth to Sarah Boone giving us the unredacted letter. She's like, well, this is what I had to say. So we heard all of what she had to say, and then we can put that chapter to a close and wait to see what her appellate lawyers say the grounds for appeal are. If when they file that appeal, we'll see. Speaking of appeals, next week we are going to be talking about appeals because Alec Murdaugh has filed all of their appellate stuff with regard to the jury issues. We are still waiting for the SJC to rule in the Karen Reed case. We've got a whole nother day of hearings in the Karen Reed case. I've got an update for you in Quick Bits about Corey Richins. There's still lots more to come next week. We still haven't gotten to Diddy saying the feds are spying on him while he's in custody. Like, there is so much. So we're going to keep up with that. Remember, Wednesday is the last official Wednesday show. So all of the podcasts are going to be on Monday on the Quick Bits YouTube channel and on the audio feed. And then Wednesdays are going to become live streams in the new year. So don't worry. We're going to have more time to cover more stuff because we're going to just stream it. We're just going to stream it. So with all of it, Law Nerds, it's been a long day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making this the best place on the internet to watch court. You guys are absolutely the best. I will let you know how everyone is doing. I will keep you in the loop with that in the app and elsewhere. Oh, that was much. That was more than I knew she was mad, but being like, this is how much this lawyer got paid. I don't know if that's true or not, but this is how much this lawyer got paid, and this is why they suck. Damn. So coming in the new year, don't worry. Monday, we have a Quick Bits episode for you. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will be live streams. So we will be here 4 days a week in the new year. I can't wait. Make sure that you have the Lawnerd app. I will see you in Quick Bits on Monday. I will see you on live stream on Tuesday. Members, don't forget to check your member spaces for your updates in the app and on YouTube. We will have members only lives coming up and more. So with all of that, I will see you guys soon. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a Lawnerd. May the odds be ever in your favor. Oh, we did it, chat. We did it. We made it through the audacity. We did it. We did it. I guess we're tycoons now. So here's to that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Mods and Team Baker, thank you for a long day of rides. I appreciate you. It's been a long one. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, chat. Bye. You can stay up to date with everything I'm covering and fast notifications on our free iOS and Android app at lawnerdapp.com or search the App Store for Lawnerd. You can also follow me around social media. And don't forget to check out my podcast, The Emily Show, with quick bits dropping every Monday, summarizing everything I do here on the live streams on Tuesday and Thursday for when you just have time for the quick bits. Thanks for being a Lawnerd.